Napoleon's father secured him a scholarship to Brienne, a private academy in France. He set foot in France for the first time in 1778 and spoke French with a heavy Corsican accent. Therefore, he was made fun of in school.
Je m'appelle Napoleon.
Two A's to P.
When Napoleon was 15, he was promoted to the Royal Military Academy in Paris. A year later, he began his apprenticeship as a second lieutenant, training with the best artillery unit in France. On April 2, 1796, at age 26 years old, Napoleon led his army in the First Italian Campaign. He was badly outnumbered with 38 French soldiers against 38,000 Austrians and 25,000 soldiers from Piedmont. In only 2 weeks, Napoleon defeated the enemy, and on April 26, Piedmont surrendered.
Attack it! Attack it!
On July 1, 1798, Napoleon landed in Egypt with 35,000 soldiers. He first captured the city of Alexandria, and then on July 3rd, he led his soldiers across the desert towards Cairo, and 2 weeks later launched a surprise attack.
I claim Egypt in the name of France.
Ah!
Unfortunately, due to disease and harsh conditions, Napoleon's soldiers suffered heavy casualties and were forced to retreat back to Paris. Napoleon was one of 5 elected directors in France after the Thermidorian reaction. He led a coup with 3 other directors and overthrew the Directory to form a government united under himself. He named himself First Consul, which he later changed to First Consul for life. Then he crowned himself emperor.
Je suis Emperor Napoleon.
The Russian campaign began on June 24, 1812, and was a turning point in the Napoleonic Wars. It dramatically weakened French reputation as an undefeated military. Beforehand, Napoleon had made a pact with Tsar Alexander of Russia to cut off trade with Great Britain. Upon hearing that the pact was broken, Napoleon decided to attack Russia to teach the Tsar a lesson. Napoleon led 500,000 troops into Moscow, but only 30,000 came out due to the brutal winter, starvation, and disease brought on by Tsar Alexander's scorched earth policy. He won, but suffered great losses. The Allied coalition of forces, including Russia, Great Britain, Austria, and Prussia, marched on Paris, forcing Napoleon to give up his title as emperor. They restored France to pre-war borders and appointed Louis XVIII as King of France. Then they sent Napoleon to exile on an island not far off the coast of Italy named Elba. Napoleon's new title was Emperor of Elba, a relatively small and undeveloped island. He helped modernize it and modeled it after France's high society. Since the moment he stepped foot on Elba, he was planning his return to France and used social occasions to help keep up with what was going on there. After little over a year on Elba, Napoleon escaped by simply sailing away. He returned to France, where he was met with no opposition from the people, and gathered many followers on his long march to Paris. Approaching the city, he met the king's royal guard, who had been sent to kill him. He gave them the opportunity to do so, but they joined him instead. The Allied forces, hearing that Napoleon had returned, gathered their forces together to stop him. Meanwhile, Napoleon was planning one final battle to re-establish his empire.
I've returned. To Paris.
Napoleon's forces will be attacking sooner than expected.
I guess what we could do is bring our troops up here and try to split them off the middle and have attacks from both sides.
And make it form square formation so that they can't disrupt our forces.
Yeah, it works pretty well for him in the past.
I'm thinking we should attack at Waterloo.
As soon as possible. Napoleon's actions were too slow, allowing the Allies to form defensive positions, like the square, to block the cavalry from entering. This stopped the attacks and caused many casualties. Initially, he thought he was winning and that reinforcements would soon come. However, the reinforcements he saw coming were actually British troops led by the Duke of Wellington, and he was forced to send his most loyal troops, the Royal Guard, to face them. They were the final attempt and ended up retreating. After this, Napoleon was defeated, and the Allied forces knew they had to send him farther away this time for exile. They sent him to St. Helena, an even smaller island off the coast of Africa, and he was stripped of all of his titles. He spent the rest of his life there and died of stomach cancer on May 5, 1821. Although it had been rumored for many years that he was assassinated, in 2008 it was proved that he did truly die of cancer.